Whenever we ask leaders to make a list of the things that give them the most grief in their work, almost without fail, at the very top of their list are people issues. My name's Simon Tyson. I'm the CEO of The Real Learning Experience. In this short video, I plan to share with you some strategies to help you reduce the amount of grief you get from people issues and allow you to focus maximum time on productivity. Of course, the first thing I'm going to say to you is that the very process of becoming a leader means that people issues are your job. These aren't things that are interrupting your job, they're integral to your job. If you can deal with people issues well, you'll achieve high productivity both personally and for each of the individuals in your team, and also as a team collectively. Having said that, it's natural for every manager to want to reduce the impact of those people issues, and that's the focus of what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share with you 5 broad strategies or tips that I believe will help you make a difference in this area of managing people issues. The first of those tips really relates to what you need to focus on as a manager. John Adair, in his model of action-centered leadership, described this beautifully. As a leader, you not only need to focus on getting the job done, the task, you need to focus on building an effective team and developing each individual within that team. If as a leader you neglect any one of those 3 areas, you'll start to see some scrub fires. For example, if you don't spend enough time building an effective team, you may well find yourself down the track dealing with a lot of petty conflict, a lot of miscommunication. The key here is to make sure you allocate time, even when you're under pressure to get the task done. Allocate time to each of these areas. Make sure that you are dedicating some time, some energy, some focus each week, especially to building the team and developing the individuals. When a leader is under pressure, almost invariably we tend to default to doing the task because that's the one we know the best, and because that's the one that's the most tangible. Tangible or not, building teams and developing individuals are essential for an effective leader. If you neglect these areas, as we said before, you will find yourself dealing with lots of scrub fires that are a direct result of neglecting those areas. My suggestion is that you finish each week by asking yourself, have I spent enough time on each of these 3 things? It doesn't need to be an equal amount of time on the 3 areas, it just needs to be enough. The second strategy is to set an unrelentingly high standard of interpersonal communication and behaviour in the workplace. The standard you set is a benchmark for your people. It not only sets a standard for them to aspire to, it tells them what's okay around here. If you don't want to see your people behaving in certain ways, it's critical that you model the ways you do want to see them behaving. The third strategy is to take an attitude of coach. We don't mean that you need to be a professional coach, but leader as coach is an attitude that helps you develop the people around you. This attitude of coach is best displayed by the way you help people solve problems, by the way you help them find answers to their questions. Do you simply serve those answers up to them in the form of statements, or do you ask them questions in return, forcing them to examine their experiences, their ideas, their intuition, and come up with their own answers? Perhaps the simplest way to demonstrate attitude of coach is to make this commitment. Every time you could tell someone in your team something, ask them a question instead. The fourth strategy, which is closely related to an attitude of coaching, is not to be the solution to every problem for your people. If all they need to do to have their problem solved is to come to you, then that's what they'll keep doing. They won't think for themselves, they won't find answers for themselves. We spoke about this recently in our post on not being the big red button for your team. This whole concept of making your people solve their own problems is discussed really well in Ken Blanchard's book, The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. In that book, Ken Blanchard talks about his people coming to him and saying, "I've got a problem." And his response is, "Good, that's what I pay you to solve." I strongly recommend that you find and read that book. The fifth strategy is about giving yourself some time. Don't, as a leader, confuse being available with being approachable. My position on this is that you should not be available all the time, but whenever you are available, you must be approachable. We recommend a technique called cocooning. There's a link provided in the transcript to this video, in which you set aside some uninterruptible time in which you'll get those big things done, in which all those people issues won't intrude on getting the big tasks done. That's not to say the people issues aren't important. That's not to say the people issues aren't in fact part of your job. But it is to say that there are some other priorities that you'll need time to work on, and you can't work on those if the interruptions are constantly flowing in. Apply these 5 strategies in your work, and I'm confident that as a manager you'll deal with the people issues that are inevitable as a leader, but that you'll also find yourself some space, find yourself some time to focus on all those other priorities that make up your job. Thanks again for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, don't keep it to yourself. Forward the link to others in your team. Make sure they get the benefit of the learning we offer.